Hello everybody, this is J4Y from Dota On Demand, and I'm going to be doing for you all a little mini-series here. It's going to basically be an introduction to different things in Dota 2 for any player that's really new, maybe coming from a different game. I'm kind of inspired actually by one of my friends who I met who's from League of Legends, wanted to get into Dota 2 more, but looked a little intimidated, wasn't sure exactly how to go about things. So I figured, why not start from the hero picking? I mean, this is where it all comes down from, you know. This is the beginning, the ultimate alpha, beta, omega, whatever the phrase is. Anyways, so I'm going to start here. Typically, when you hit play and go into matchmaking, you will start in an all-pick scenario. What this means is you can pick from the whole pool, and it's 90 heroes. And by the way, there's actually usually 60 seconds to pick your hero. Now, when I say that, it actually does go in, as you'll see. The game, it's not like over at this point. All this means is now the game has officially begun, and all the people who have already chosen the hero can enter the game, and there's some downtime before the game actually starts. It's a countdown. So you still have extra time after that 60 seconds to make your selection, and technically you could even go past that, but you want to pick as soon as possible, more or less. First of all, for a couple reasons. To give your team an idea of who you're going to play is really important, so they can kind of build a team around it, or you can vice versa, make your picks based on what they've gone. Also, you know, if you wait too long, the laning phase might have already begun, and then you're kind of putting your team behind. So try to have an idea, maybe going ahead, of what at least role you want to play, or if you have someone in mind, go ahead and just pick it right away, so that way you're not holding anyone up or yourself, and you kind of get the game started. That being said, this is what you're going to see when you first come in, this beautiful big guy named Alchemist. Now, this is kind of a little different. Since there are 90, you can use the middle mouse wheel, which is defaulted to scroll through all these heroes, and you can kind of get an idea of who you want to go from that point. But, you know, you're not really going to be sure what they can do. Each hero has their abilities listed here. You can mouse over them, and it does tell you what each one does. Now, obviously, this point of this video is not to introduce which hero does what, but more just give you an idea or feel of the actual picking in the beginning of the game and how you should go about it. I think the other way, which I prefer a lot more, gives you a thing. I think it's defaulted to control. It gives you more of a grid view. As you can see, there are plenty of heroes in this pool. Like I said, 90. And this gives you more of a choice, more of a, you know, it lets you see kind of what's out there and who you might want to play. Now, there are split into 3 categories. These are all the main attribute strength characters. These are more of the tanky. They can take the damage, dish out some damage, that kind of thing. These are the agility, which we like to call the carries. For the most part, there are a couple of exceptions to that, but for the most part, if you choose one of these heroes, you're going to be depending on getting gold farm in your game and getting the items and doing a lot of damage later in the game. As far as this third segment, these are the intelligence heroes, and basically, I mean, it's classified to say they're support, quote unquote, but more or less, they're going to be using a lot of spells that you generally will do either good damage or have some kind of stun or slow, which we call CC as a general thing. So now that you've kind of got like a broad spectrum, if you're coming from a different game like League of Legends or Heroes of New Earth, where you're already familiar with this genre of game, you can actually break it down. Let's say you're from a different game, you're used to the support role. Well, actually, there's this beautiful thing up here called the filter, and you can use it to sort these heroes out by which ones you're comfortable with. So, like I said, if you're used to the support role from League of Legends, right, you can click this, and it now highlights all the heroes that the game is considering to be a support, which actually is pretty accurate. You will see in 99% of games these heroes used as supports and not as main gold farmers. Like I said, there's always exceptions. People play things different ways, but let's just stick with what we've got for now. So as you see, it's even some strength heroes, even a couple agility heroes, and then mainly intelligence heroes used as supports. And to be honest, if you're very new to Dota, if you haven't done anything, I strongly suggest to play a support hero. And the main reason for that is that you're not reliant on gold as much. You won't be, you know, if you don't get a good, and what we call farm, is basically if you don't get a lot of last hits on creeps and heroes to get gold to buy big items, it's not a big deal in these heroes. Their spells are very strong throughout the game. They do a good amount of damage, have their stun or slow for the most part, and just help a lot. So, I would definitely suggest starting with one of these highlighted heroes if you're very, very new. Of course, you can try different things, and as you go, you'll learn which role you really like to play out than other ones. But for the most part, these will be the ones you'll see a lot of inexperienced players start with. There's also other ones. There's carry. These are the ones I'm talking about where you want to depend on that gold farm. If you pick this hero, you're going to need to get some last hits, and you're going to need to get those big items to help your team in the late game, because they're very, for the most part, dependent on getting these items. And like I said, most of these are the agility main attribute heroes. There's also junglers. If you're from League of Legends, you'll know the term jungler very well. But essentially, these heroes will go into, and I'm not going to explain it too much in this video, but there are this jungle or neutral creeps that are not on either team, and you kill them. You can also get golden experience that way. They are more difficult in the beginning of the game to kill, and that's why these heroes excel, because they have early abilities that allow them to fight these strong creeps early on. I'm not going to get into all of these roles. There are quite a fit, but it's a great way to filter if you know a term and that's what you want to do that game. I would suggest it. There's also attack type, so there are melee and ranged heroes as well. You can split it up that way, and then by stats. This is just for your personal things. So, for example, if you've played a few games now, and you recently played, you can see I've played a bunch of random heroes. You have items for if you bought items to stop, etc. So filters are always nice to work, and like I said, I prefer this control view over to this scroll view because you can't really get a good feel for the heroes, in my opinion. You have to look at them a few at a time, and it's just can be intimidating. You really don't know what you're looking at. So I prefer this view if you're just starting out. So that being said, like I said, my just early suggestions: try to get one of these support players. Go with your friends, or if you don't have any in the game quite yet, go with someone else. They'll tell you what to do. Just don't be afraid to ask questions in chat. You might get flamed here and there, but for the most part, the community is decent enough to lead you along the way. So, anyways, like I said, these are just going to be a little mini-series, just a quick introduction here or there. Please feel free to leave me comments or feedback on this video. Just let me know what you think of it. I do plan on doing more for different parts, like the shop, like the laning phase, and these are just going to be really quick videos too. Nothing too in-depth, but just enough to give you a basic idea. Once again, this is J4Y from Dota On Demand, and I really appreciate you guys joining me, and I'll be seeing you shortly.